Good morning. It's a beautiful Monday morning. How do I know it's beautiful? Because I choose to believe it's beautiful. I choose to believe today that this is the day made memorable by Yahweh. What immense joy for us. This is this is a day that no matter what happens, God's already there. Wherever you are going, whatever you're doing, He's already there. He's on scene. And He's not leaving us behind. This morning, when I woke up, normally I wake up with a song in my heart, but this morning, when I woke up, it was like, Lord, there just doesn't seem to be a song. I just heard Him say, well, you didn't request one. And that's right. I laid down last night and I just was like, oh man, was I. It was a long day yesterday, but it was a great day. I cooked. I cooked. Wow. But I cooked a huge roast, probably about a 4 pound roast. And I cooked it in the oven and took like 4 or 5 hours and it was very tender. And then I cooked a big pot, not a big pot, well, for Mother and I, it's a big pot of beans. And none of it was ready for dinner last night, so we had sandwiches. She said, but it won't be ready in time. And I said, that's okay. Um, because it'll be ready for this week. So we have food for this week. And she's like, you cooking that much roast? I said, I have plans. I want to make a beef pot pie. We're having roast and potatoes. And then there was something, maybe barbecue sandwiches or something like that. We'll see. But anyway, we're going to eat good this week. But I got up this morning and I did start singing this song. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. And it's by, snap, I didn't bring my phone in here with me. I sure didn't. Huh. It's by um, Bethel. Joni, I don't remember her name now. Sorry. It'll come to me, but it's not important. But anyway, she's up there and she's declaring that even though she walks through the valley of the shadow of death, that's just hard times, she will fear no evil. And the reason she won't fear evil is because God is with us. He doesn't leave us. He doesn't forsake us. And even in our hard times, through the loss of our husbands or through if, you know, depending on who you are, just through the loss of whoever it is, either through divorce or through their physical death, He's with us. So my crew is making a noise. I don't like it, but she licks. She licks things. And so then everything I looked at this morning just kept bringing me back to Psalm 23. And I'll put this here. I'll put this here. And so I looked it up in the Passion Translation, and it says, Lord, you're my best friend and my shepherd. Well, I don't know if y'all remember, but he told me the other day, I said, Lord, who do you want to be for me today? And he said, your friend. Do I want him to be just my friend? No, I want him to be my best friend. And he is. He's your best friend. He's my best friend. That's one of his many qualities is to be a friend, and he is the best. So he's going to be the best friend. Um, and he says, I always. Okay, so the Lord is my best friend and my shepherd. A shepherd leads their sheep and keeps them in safety. And if one of them goes off, he will leave the 99 to go look for the one. But he doesn't leave the 99 unprotected. No, he doesn't. There's always someone or something there to protect the flock. So it goes on, it says, I always have more than enough. You know, if we're looking at our circumstances, I went through, gosh, I've been through so many times where it looked like I didn't have anything. And in the last couple of years, the Lord has been bringing out the lady that had the two sons, and she was in debt, and the tax people were going to come, and they were going to take her sons and make them work it off as slave labor until till her debt was paid. And she went to the prophet and she said, "You got to help me." And he said, well, what do you have?" She said, I just have a little bit of oil in my house. That's all I have in my house is a little bit of oil. Well, in those days, if you had a little bit of oil and a little bit of flour, you could make a cake, bake it. And she said, that's all I have. And he said, well, go borrow pots. Lots and lots and lots and lots of pots. As many pots as you can borrow as there are, borrow all of them. And so she did. And he said, now go in your house, close the doors, you and your son, and start pouring the oil in the pots. And so she did. She just kept pouring and pouring and pouring. I have a little oil jar, sprayer, pouring thing that I put my cooking oil in, and right next to my stove. And I think of that. She just sat there and she just poured and poured and poured and poured. And they weren't these little bitty pots. Yes, they weren't these little bitty pots. They were big pots. And so when she ran out of pots, the prophet said, now go sell everything. Go sell what you have. And so she did. And then it says in the Bible that she paid off the debt, and she and her son lived off the rest. Now, there's more than one way to hear that. She and her sons lived off the rest, the remainder of what of the provision that God had given her favor to get, or that, and it's not or, it's an and. She rested in him. God takes care of me. That's what she did. She rested in him. And she received everything simply trusting. REST. Receive everything simply trusting. And I was in the kitchen a few minutes ago, and things are just coming at me again. Y'all know things do that. And that's the time when you have to say stop. And everything has to stop. because you have the authority over all the stuff coming at you. And stop, I thought, well, what does stop mean? Simply trust our Papa. Simply trust our Papa. We can receive everything simply trusting and simply trust our Papa. Rest. Stop. In the last few days, he's been talking to me about rest. 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 And so I don't know what's coming up, but I know that there's something that I'm just going to have to rest in him concerning him. I really am. If we come back to Psalm 23, it says, He offers a resting place for me, and he offers a resting place for us, for me, for you, in His luxurious love. He leads me to rest in Him. I do believe that He's going to lead me to rest in Him. And it's not going to be, I'm just going to go to bed, I'm just going to give up. Go to bed, let you handle it. No, that's not it. Maybe that's part of it because I have been staying up late lately, and that's not like me. There's a lot of things that are not like me that have been going on. And perhaps that's just a process that I'm going through. That I have to see, hey, this behavior is not like you. That's not you. That person's dead. Well, why does that person keep trying to resurrect? Because there was something that you didn't handle. If you don't handle things in your life, then they come to you and they resurrect. They try to come back to you to see if you'll take them again. I'm not taking that anymore. I'm not taking it anymore. I'm not taking it. I'm not giving it. That's not me. I'm not gonna snap at my mother. I did have to growl at my dogs. I don't, I used to spank my dogs. I used to be really mean to my dogs when they did something wrong, but I don't do that anymore. I have learned because I have mini schnauzers. There's Missy right down, right there. That's Missy. She got booted off of her spot. Bean got her spot. But I learned that barking at them in a really tough tone, they do this. But I don't know what that. Oh, yeah, because that old person will just beat the crap out of them and say, "Get out." Hang on, I need. I just learned something. If you touch that right there on the microphone, it mutes. Cool. Anyway, so I talked to you about how we follow in His footsteps. And in Psalm 23, it says, His tracks take me in an oasis of peace. Shalom. Shalom is the Hebrew word, and it has so many different meanings. But it's not just calmness. I think that's part of it, but that's such a weak word to describe the wholeness, the completeness, the nothingness and the nothing broken. I'm starting to, wow, success, success, victory, health. It's all those things. God is so good. He's made every provision for everything that we need. Every provision. And then he says, his tracks take me to an oasis of peace, the quiet brook of bliss, the waters of a resting place. I think he's trying to tell me and tell us, because this is for everybody, to tell us something that he wants us to rest in him, to relax. When my first husband Eddie passed, I don't know if it was right before he passed or right after he passed, but there was a song that came back and it said, I will lean back in the loving arms of my beautiful father. When I was a little girl, I lived with my dad. My parents were divorced, and from the time I was about a year old. And I would go and I would sit in Daddy's lap, and I'd lean back in. And I remember telling him, I want to marry you. I just want to marry you. Because he just seemed to be my dream man. Of course, he was the only man in my life, so might have something to do with it. but I just remember I was just leaning back in the loving arms of my beautiful father. And you can do that too. You tell God that you want to just sit in his lap, lean your head back against his chest. Even if you didn't have a loving father growing up, you have one now. Just receive his love. Simply trust him. I trust that you're not going to hurt me. I don't even know that he'll ever bark at you like I bark at my dogs whenever I'm correcting them. He does correct us. But his correction is a correction of love where like I said, like if we get off on the wrong path and we wander, he's like, that's okay, I'll go with you. We'll go together. We'll come back together and I'll bring you back. Lean back in his arms and rest in him. I could sit here and read everything in Psalm 23, but here's the one thing there's many. Okay. So he opens before me the pathway of God's pleasure and leads me along in his footsteps of righteousness. So if I'm walking the way that he's walking, we're walking together, I can't go wrong. Neither can you. It says, Lord, even when your path takes me through. I think this is one of the things that God's trying to talk to us too, is that we're going to go through this, what seems like the valley of the shadow of death. But we're not going to stay there. And while we're there, we're not going to fear any evil. It says, fear will never conquer me, for you already have. And when you give your heart, your mind, your will, your emotions, that's your soul, and your body to the Lord, Fear can't conquer you. Things will come against, oppositions will come against you, but they won't stick, they'll scatter. They'll try to get you to, trials in life try to get you to take them on. Oh yeah, take me, take me, take me. This is the only way that you have to do anything, and I'm doing this. But you know what? That's just like a windshield wiper. I get in the way, but good's going to come out of it. God's already comforted me. I, he says, you remain close to me. Okay. You, as in God, remains close to me and leads me through it all the way. I'm going to tell you something. No matter what you're going through in life, you might walk, you will walk through some valleys that have evil, but you don't have to stay there. Walk through it. Um, he's walking with you all the way. I'm just going to leave y'all with that today. Just keep going. Go forth. Walk through this. We're not in fear. We're just going to go through it. I bless you today. Y'all have the most amazing day ever. Today this is the day that he has made. Especially for me, I'm going to rejoice and be glad in it. What do you choose to do? I'll see you later.